Okay, I'm excited. I'm really excited to bring you into this. Like, I really just can't stop making these. I love His Word so much. You have no idea. If you haven't watched Salvation Assurance, if you still sin, you're not saved. You must first understand that. The Bible means exactly what it said. Every word of it. Every word of it, as it's written, is truth. Period. As it's written. There's no interpreting it. I'm just reading you the verses from the paper, trying to help put it in perspective for you, right? Because a lot of people don't have 12 hours a day to sit down and read it like I do. I'm telling you, the Bible means exactly what it says. Right? Watch Salvation Assurance. Watch the last few videos. You have to keep pace with me. You have to compare to a King James. You have to believe that it means what it says. If you don't believe that the Bible means exactly what it says, then you don't believe, period. Facts. Okay? So we left off, we did Acts 15:24. I taught you all about your conscience and how much of a role that plays. That in Titus 3:11, that guy condemned himself, striving about law. All these problems, talking about, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that. No, no, no. I throw that guy out. I reject him because they don't know God, right? If you sin, you don't know God. That's what the Bible says. I believe that, right? Because I live sin-free now, and I have for a while. And I'm going to teach you how to do it too. So here we go. We left off, we did Acts 15:24. We did a lot on the conscience. Hebrews 9:14, purge your conscience. John 6:63 says the flesh profits nothing. So when he says in Hebrews 9:14, purge your conscience, he means purge your conscience, not your flesh. Right? Your flesh is going to keep doing what the flesh does. You're never going to stop. You're lying to yourself. Cool, quit drugs, quit drinking. Do what's good for you. Right? 2 Corinthians 13:7. Right? Now I wish, brother, I beseech you, brethren, that you would do no evil, not that we need to appear approved, because we even though we are just like the reprobates, right? Do no evil. Do no evil. I'm telling you, do no evil. But you're gonna do evil. I'm just telling you to do it in faith, right? Because all things work out for the good to those who believe. All things. This is the same exact thing Paul taught you. This is the same exact thing Stephen taught you. It shows in the Bible that this is what they were accused of. They were accused of preaching against the law. I'm not preaching against the law, right? I'm preaching that I'm free from the law and that Jesus did it all and to put your full faith in Him, right? So I'm teaching you to worship God contrary to the law. Absolutely. That is Acts 18:13, I believe, is when they accused Paul of teaching to people to worship God contrary to the law. Yes, I'm telling you to worship Him in spirit and in truth. Not the flesh. You can't do it in the flesh. He says in John 5:41, I receive not honor from men. There's nothing you can do to change that. Okay, so Romans 2:12. We moved into the beloved book of Romans. I love Romans. Romans is hardcore. Covers everything. I don't even, man. Whew. Oh, who here knows that Paul did not actually author Romans? He did not actually write it. A guy named Tertius did. And if you look up the meaning of Tertius, it's like a third person, like it was written through a third person. But nonetheless, I teach you that the whole Bible is written by one dude. It's not 66 books. It's one book. I highly recommend a video called The Last 12 Verses of Mark by Chuck Missler. Phenomenal. Shows you how men could not have written this book. Period. Period. The last 12 verses of Mark. Always contended over. Why? Why? Because if you go back to the original Hebrew and Greek, right, the original Greek, the Koine Greek that it was written in, you can't hide that God wrote it. It's kind of cool. That's the last 12 verses of Mark by Chuck Missler. Look it up. Romans 2, verse 12 says, for as many as have sinned without the law shall also perish without law, and as many as have sinned in the law shall be judged by the law. Okay? Verse 13, for not the hearers of the law are just before God, but the doers of the law shall be justified. You must first understand what that law is, and that's found in Romans 3:27, where he says, where is boasting then? Is it excluded by what law? Of works? No, but by the law of faith. That whatsoever is not of faith is sin. That's the law you're under now. The law, when you choose to believe in Jesus, the law is to believe in Jesus wholeheartedly, hardcore, till death. In everything that you do everything unto Him. 1 Corinthians 10:31, I think, is whatsoever you do unto the Lord. Right? Whatsoever you do. It doesn't matter. If you deny Him in any works, you deny Him. Right? And anything that's not whatsoever is not of faith is sin. Sorry. Romans 2:12, sin without the law, perish without the law, sin in the law, be judged by the law. Verse 15 explains, which show the work of the law written in their hearts. Here we go. Their conscience. also bearing witness, and their thoughts the mean, while accusing or else excusing one another. Again, your conscience, everything is played out on your conscience. Exercise a conscience void of offense. Happy is he that condemns not himself in that thing that he allows. Period. Your conscience. Your conscience. I can't drill that into your head enough. Okay? So I wrote here, for whatever reason, our conscience is now our law, but because Jesus satisfied the law of commands for the believer to be free, that's Ephesians 2:15, go ahead and read it, sin cannot be sin anymore because there's no way to measure it without that physical law. We are free to do good or bad, but if your conscience isn't strong, best to do well. I strongly recommend referring to Romans 14:22 to help you understand how this works. Then 14:23, I lie to you not. This is the true gospel. You are free. Let's move on and you shall see. Whatever. So anyway, Romans 2:13. For not the hearers of the law are justified before God, but the doers of the law shall be justified. Right? Romans 1:17 tells you exactly who justified, right? Romans 1:17 first said, for therein is the righteousness of God. There we go. Compare that to Philippians 3:9. Romans 1:17, for therein is the righteousness of God revealed from faith to faith, as it is written, the just shall live by faith. It's the law of faith, that whatsoever is not of faith is sin. Period. All things are new. 1 Corinthians 6:12, all things are lawful. Drill it into your head. Purge your conscience from the dead works. You're never going to purge your flesh, so just purge your conscience. Believe that he did exactly what he said he did and you're saved. It's so awesome. It's so awesome. Okay, so we got Romans 2:13 kind of out of the way. I referenced Romans 2:17 through 29. 17 says, behold, thou art called a Jew, and restest in the law, and makest thy boast of God. Oh, this is good. Right? Romans 2:17, behold, thou art called a Jew, and restest in the law, and makest thy boast of God. And knowest his will, and approvest the things that are more excellent, being instructed out of the law. Right? He's talking about the Jews. And are confident that thou thyself art a guide of the blind and a light to them which are in darkness. That's 19. We're going into 20. An instructor of the foolish, a teacher of the babes, which hast the form of knowledge and the truth in the law. 21. Thou therefore which teachest another, teachest thou thyself? Thou that preachest a man should not steal, don't you steal? Verse 22. Thou sayest a man should not commit adultery, dost thou commit adultery? Thou that abhorrest idols, dost thou commit sacrilege? I like this, verse 22. You teach that a man should not commit adultery, but don't you commit adultery? Do you see the hypocrisy now? Do you see it in yourself? Because if you're still trying to keep law, how? How can you preach law when you can't keep law? So verse 23, thou that makest thy boast of the law, though breaking the law, dishonorest thou God? Verse 23 again, thou that makest thy boast of the law, through breaking the law, dishonorest thou God? Don't you dishonor God? Wake up! 24, the name of God is blasphemed among the Gentiles through you, as it's written, for circumcision verily profiteth if thou keep the law, but if thou be a breaker of the law, thy circumcision is made uncircumcision. Period. Did it say go through 27 here? Through 29. Alright. And shall not thy uncircumcision, which is, okay, here we go. 27, and shall not uncircumcision, which is by nature, if it fulfill the law, judge thee, who by the letter and circumcision does transgress the law? So, doesn't the uncircumcision who fulfills the law by believing in Jesus, right, by nature, if fulfill the law, judge thee? So, the uncircumcised who just believe in Jesus end up judging the ones who are circumcised, right? Because who by the letter and circumcision does transgress the law? You transgress the law. You want to talk about law. You're all big and bad and hardcore when it comes to law. Did you keep the whole thing? No. 28, for he is not a Jew, which is one outwardly, neither is that circumcision, which is outward in the flesh. Verse 29, but he is a Jew, which is one inwardly, and circumcision is that of the heart. Go to Romans 6:17. Read it. Obey from the heart. Okay? But he is a Jew, which is one inwardly, and circumcision is that of the heart, in the spirit, and not in the letter, whose praise is not of men, but of God. Like I said, I don't care what you say about me. I don't care what you think about what I'm telling you. I don't care. I'm reading the Bible to you. That's all I'm doing. The Bible tells you. The Bible calls you out. The Bible says if you sin, you're not saved. It's the truth. Go back and watch the salvation assurance videos. Oh man, I want to keep going so bad, right? So I referenced, for this, we're going to wrap this up, I referenced 1 John 3:25. Right, this is the beginning of that. Here we go. Let's show you. You want to know what you're under, right? 1 John, oh, it's 3:23. It's supposed to be 3:23. Correct that. 1 John 3:23. Here's your commandments that you're under. And this is his commandment, that we should believe on the name of his Son, Jesus Christ, and love one another as he gave us commandment. Right? I've already shown you in the salvation assurance in John where he says that he came to keep his Father's commandments and we are to keep his. His commandment is that we love one another. Galatians 5:23 says there's no law against love. There's no law telling me how to love. There's no law telling me when to love, right? I'm just supposed to love in full, and that's what I'm doing by telling you that if you sin, you're not saved. I'm going to expose that, right? That's the whole thing. You're trying to hang on to your own righteousness by hanging on to law, and you're epically failing. Turn to him. Worship him. He did it all, right? Okay, so then I got Romans 3:27 calls it the law of faith. James 1:25. I love James 1:25 because it snuffs anybody when they want to talk about their works, right? Faith without works is dead. You're right. Faith without belief is dead. It is. And the work of God is to believe on whom he has sent. John 6:29. Jesus' words, not mine. Jesus told the people the work of God is to believe on whom he has sent. That's the work. Faith without that work is dead. If you don't really believe in everything that you do, then you don't believe at all. There's no halfway. So James 1:25, or yeah, I know it is 1:25, it has to be. James 1:25 says, but whoso looketh into the perfect law of liberty, this is the law of faith. Same thing, law of liberty, law of Christ, right? Perfect law of liberty, and continueth therein, he being not a forgetful hearer, but a doer of the work, with a K. This man shall be blessed in his deed. What's the work? James was there when Jesus said it. John 6:28. I'll go to it just to read it, just for giggles. John 6:28 and 29. Then said they unto him, what shall we do that we might work the works of God? 6:29. Jesus answered and said unto them, this is the work of God, that you believe on whom he had sent. That's the work that James is talking about. To believe and to trust Jesus with everything you have. And he's right. Faith without that is dead. Show me your faith without those works, and I'll show you my faith by my works. I read my Bibles 12 hours a day. And I say Bibles because, yeah, I got Bibles, right? None of that matters, though. All that matters is what his word says, and that you believe what his word says. And his word says that you're free from the law and stop keeping the law, because you're just going about to establish your own righteousness. Romans 10, 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Romans 4 says that Christ is the end of the law for righteousness for all those who believe. That's what it is. So we're going to leave off here. Check this one off. John 6:29. I went over all that. Boom. Okay, we're going to leave it off here. See you next time. You know, like I said, if you're not serious about salvation, then this channel's not for you. If you are, then you'll watch every one of these videos, because it's not about me, it's all about him. And you want the truth, right? I'm going to tell you the truth. I don't care if it makes you happy, right? But if you believe what I'm telling you, because all I'm telling you is what this is telling you. If you believe what I'm telling you, and you believe in him, go believe in him. When you believe in him, it's joy that never ends. It never stops. I trust him in full assurance of salvation, full confidence, full hope, the blessed hope. I can't wait. And I hope you share with me that day. I really do. Enjoy your day. We'll talk again soon.